What's up, everybody? Welcome to the pt1 Show. In this episode, I'm just going to be sitting here and chit-chatting with you as work comes in and pictures come in. As you can see, I've chosen my angle deliberately because right here is the work that started all of this rust nonsense. If you recall, when we did this side, they had layered the two panels. The original panel, they had just welded the new panel right on top of it, and that was kind of how I started with rust in the bottom little corner and had to go all the way up to where it's at now. All that because when we finally got going on the rockers, we discovered some stuff, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically, we're going back in time because the work we did, we had a very small time frame of basically, I went straight to Kevin's shop Friday after work. We worked late into the night, and then we had all Saturday to try and get the car running by the end of the day. And not to say that it wasn't running, but drivable, I should say, at the end of the day. Because, there was space that needed to be for regular business, not our business. So that kind of led us to make certain decisions and to do things in a way that weren't optimal, but I don't want to make it sound like we took shortcuts. I'll just say that we weren't as thorough, so to speak, as I would have liked to have been, but also I think we did a damn good job, considering it was basically like a 30-hour blast of pulling the car in to pulling the car out. So this first part is basically us, getting started. I'll walk you through that right now. We'll start it off with one last shot before we cut into this beauty. Gonna fly through this first part. You gotta get the car up on the jack stands. You want to get the wheels off. All this stuff took a few minutes. You want to make sure you're working safely. Then what we're doing here is we're comparing where we're gonna make the first cut. So we got the new outer rocker, kind of game planning what we're gonna do. We got our little tape line, and you know what that means. Time to get cutting. Now that the band-aid has been removed and I've cut it, I wanted to just get that front fender piece off, and it actually proved a little harder, so we said screw it, let's cut this whole thing off. And so we just cut all the way through. Kevin started on one side, I started on the other, and then we saw the horror. Once again, they had put the old panel and the new panel right on top of each other. They didn't bother getting the old rust out. And surprise, surprise, we have rust again. So as I'm sitting here trying to get that last little piece out, what you're going to see is all the remnants of the rust that had just fallen out from that inner rocker section. Look at that mess. Got to clean it up, and we'll take a break here. And I'll show you a little bit of an insight into what we had.
Yeah, that's body color. They really did just put another panel on.
So with that horrible discovery out of the way, we needed to get the rest of the rust out. Outer rocker out of the way, and we are now faced with the middle rocker, and we're cutting the rust out of that one. What we need to do is to get all the rust out so that we have good solid metal to weld back onto. And that's kind of what we're dealing with here. Was such a satisfying feeling getting all this in the trash. So that was fun, right? And now you understand why I mentioned this little piece to begin with. Because the rocker, they did the same type of situation where they just put the new rocker right on top of the old one, welded it up, slapped some Bondo probably, and then moved on. So not an ideal rust repair. And it kind of put us in a bind because really we should pull the doors off the car. There should be much higher areas that we would cut, but that outer rocker, the cosmetic rocker, is just that. It's the cosmetic piece. Alpha designed these with, I believe, 3 rockers. So you have the innermost rocker, which is actually part of the body, and they don't sell a replacement bit. So those pictures that I just showed you of that innermost rocker, how it was just eaten up, basically had to cut that away, and we were gonna have to start from scratch. The middle rocker, they do sell, and that one didn't actually look too bad, which is kind of where in all of this I had hope that it wasn't going to be as bad as it could be or as bad as it probably is. But by cutting the outer away, by cutting the middle rocker away, and then getting to that inner one, we were able to get rid of all of the rust that there was in the rocker area. And once we got to clean metal is where we started to build it back up. So what we have here is the replacement metal we're using on the innermost rocker to give us something to build off of. Kevin right away jumped into welding it on. This is obviously a super sped up video because welding is boring to watch. However, you will see the amount of welding that needed to be done. We changed the angle, slowed it down a little bit just so you can see. If you look from where the light is all the way to where he's at, those are just solid long beads of weld. And this one's actually the middle rocker that we're putting on now. So that quick, fast first video was the fully inner rocker, and this one is the middle rocker, kind of getting us to where we left off. All right. So as you saw, lots of welding happened, and this is basically why we didn't want to pause to have me, chit chat while we were trying to get work done. And so I set up the GoPro, put the time lapse on, and we just worked. We didn't even bother stopping and talking. We took some pics here and there, as you got to see a couple of them. Other than that, it was just recording our footage and leaving me to edit it properly to make it somewhat enjoyable. But what we ended up doing is for the inner rocker, as you saw, we used just some good steel, a nice straight piece. We trimmed it to fit perfectly. We welded it in place. It gave some nice structure for us to weld the middle rocker to, and it's also going to give me some nice material to weld the outer rocker to. But the outer rocker is going to be a little bit more of a fact-finding mission, because like it was here, I have to see where that inner rocker and outer, or I shouldn't say that, the 2 outer rockers, the inner outer rocker and the outer rocker, where they come together, because I have to get all of that out of there. And in order to do that, the doors need to come off, and the door pins, there's kind of a weird situation. So that was one, compromise that we made, is we didn't want to pull the doors off because we needed to make sure we could get them back on. And not knowing that for sure, we decided, let's see how far up we can go till we get to clean metal. And basically the inner rocker, the middle rocker, we welded to clean metal, and I'm very confident in those repairs. It's just now to do the outer rocker properly, I got to get the doors off. I got to start grinding, and I'm going to make a mess in here. And then, at the end of the day, that outer rocker will be clean metal, welded to clean metal, and all the old stuff will be gone. So, you got to see it all. And just like the engine build, this is going to be the first of hopefully 2, maybe 3 by the time this side rocker is done. I'm staring at the outer rocker right behind you over there. and I'm excited to get that done. But yeah, so phase 1, we were able to get the inner rocker, the middle rocker welded to nice clean metal. All of that rust is gone. And then phase 2, part 2 of the rocker repair is gonna be how far up this outer panel is welded to the inner outer panel. And then getting the doors back on and all that stuff. You know, my videos, I try not to make them how-tos because I'm no expert, especially in this arena. It's just more going along for the ride. So hopefully this wasn't too boring. Now that it's back in the garage and I can go a little bit slower, we'll see what all of that looks like. So thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one, which is going to be either this one or it'll be that one. But it'll be a part 2 of something because part 1s are done now. Take it easy.